In this episode of Contracting Conversations, we'll learn about one of DoD's newest recruitment programs and pick the brain of someone who could be a future leader in the workforce. How is the next generation preparing for public service? And what are they doing to learn problem-solving strategies? We sit down with educator and changemaker Karen Thornton to discuss the Defense Civilian Training Corps and Belle Higginbotham, a Purdue student who was competitively selected for the program. I'm Scott Williams, along with my co-host Jim Valley, coming to you straight from our booth at the NEXUS 24 conference in Jacksonville, Florida. Hey, we're here at Jacksonville, Florida at the NCMA NEXUS conference, and very pleased to be joined by Karen Thornton from DCTC and Belle Higginbotham, who's a student at Purdue University. So welcome, and appreciate you stopping by the DAU booth to talk about it. So let us know what the presentation, what you had to bring to the conference, and how things are going.
Just introduce yourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having us. As you said, I am part of the DCTC team. I work for the Acquisition Innovation Research Center, and we were tasked by the Undersecretary of Defense for Acquisition and Sustainment to launch the Defense Civilian Training Corps. And I mean, it's the most fulfilling work. It's really the sense of meaning that one gets when reflecting on one's career, like, oh, this is what I've been working toward my whole career. Because I started my own career in ROTC and found my people, found my path, my way to serve. And so now we're doing that for all of these students in this program. And I've been part of NCMA for many years, and Michelle Courier reached out to us, and she's a genius of recognizing the connection between what we're doing and the theme of the NEXUS conference. So we are a multidisciplinary cohort of scholars, 87 scholars right now in our program, and Belle will tell you more about her experience, but she really embodies what it has been for these students to create a sense of a team and to be constantly learning from each other and across the different disciplines that they are studying on campus at the 4 different universities.
Right, and as soon as they go to their jobs, or full-time jobs, the glue that you give them is really going to help them get to a really strong start.
Absolutely.
So, and really quick, if you don't mind, those universities that are participating, I know Purdue,
right,
obviously.
Yes. Purdue, Virginia Tech, the University of Arizona, and North Carolina A&T. And these schools are all part of the consortium that is the Acquisition Innovation Research Center.
Great.
Well, my name's Belle Higginbotham. I go to Purdue. I'm a junior there, and I'm studying game development and design and animation. And yeah, I didn't really, when I applied, I wasn't really sure how games or animation could be used within the Department of Defense or, Army, every sector. I knew I was like, I'm sure there's something, IT is everywhere now. I don't know what that is. And so through this program, I was able to see, oh, wow, this has great opportunities for me. Gamification of every field is happening. There's a lot of pseudo data you can get from it. And so, as I mentioned earlier this morning, that's really what I would love to focus on is kind of, how can we use that data to inform us before we even start making the physical products. I think is so cool and obviously more cost efficient something I would love to get into. I'm not really sure the prospects I have, but this summer for my internship, I'll be in Huntsville, and I will hopefully get an introduction into that field and everything. So I'm excited.
Huntsville is a nice place to go. But we talked earlier with another couple people about the acquisition game, and I guess you're going to be on the team to kind of bring that to a board game.
Yes.
Into actual software.
Yeah, so it's in board game state right now, and I do want to give credit to Tori and Matt and Payuna, who isn't here, but they were all the ones who sort of developed the game, and then me and my peers, John and Armand, were the ones who kind of helped, we think you should do this rather than this. We were kind of almost like test subjects. And then it became developed into a physical board game, got sent to the schools, and we've we're playing it and everything like that, and then we're playing it later today as our our simulation, everything like that. So really excited for that. But yes, this summer we're going to see how far we can get with a digital version, and I think a lot of people would really like that because it's just more immersive and easier, to get around as well. So yeah,
it's a great way to learn.
Yes.
And I think from our perspective, DAU, we try to use more gaming, more simulation is something we like to do more of in our training, because I think it is a great way for people to learn.
Yeah.
It really sticks with you, and it's fun, and you enjoy it. It's kind of fun to do, and you should learn along the way, and sometimes you don't even realize that that's the focus, to learn about stuff. And it's really
it's nothing worse than getting lectured on something and trying to remember.
Yeah, trying to remember what. Yeah, trying to keep on
Exactly.
track. So it's a great way to really have some of this stuff stick with you.
Yeah,
so that sounds pretty exciting.
Yeah, one of the main comments I had was, the best way we're learning acquisition is through this game. Like it's hard to take in all that information. I mean, they joke about it here all the time, but it's a lot. And so it's nice to have a game where it's more fun and, we're all laughing, working together. So that makes it a lot better too. Yeah.
One of the really interesting things about being a startup is that we're constantly learning at ERIC and pivoting based on student feedback. And so we use the game this semester as both a pre-assessment and a post-assessment, so that we have data at the end to say, okay, what have our students learned? When they first played the game in like the first or second class, they were just going by their wits. Sure. And the player who wins is the one who gets the most end user satisfaction. Oh. So they were making basic cost benefit trade-offs, and just kind of these wild cards would come at them, and they weren't really sure what they meant. But we just explained, these are the typical stumbling blocks in a typical process. But I have a sense in the final class of the semester, when they play the game again, and we've even rejiggered the game a little bit and reproduced it based on their initial feedback to make it easier to play, to make sort of some of the things make more sense. Now I expect that the final class, they'll be like, oh, now I get what it means when you have like a change in the requirements in the,
And if you can learn that now, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I wish I had this opportunity to take this.
Yeah. We're hearing that a lot.
Absolutely. Just like life, things doesn't always go exactly how you plan it, and you adjust, and you make, in procurement, things don't go exactly how you planned it.
And these are complex.
You have to adjust. Yes.
These are complex.
And make the best decisions for you and your team and your outcome, and your path kind of zigs sometimes. But that's cool. If the game is doing that and you're learning it, that is awesome.
And by what's the best way to learn, because you're the subject matter expert, and maybe Eric, and so that's where you insert yourself.
Yes.
And you guys have questions versus inserting yourself where you may not be needed.
Right. Yeah. And one additional aspect of the curriculum where we've inserted ourselves at ERIC is to recognize, just like you said, so there's adversity and bumps in the road, and how are you going to manage it? How are you going to deal with it? So we've introduced a resilience component into the curriculum, because we're approaching this within a culture of care. And we want the students on the stage, they were so kind to thank a lot of the people, their faculty who are their mentors, and the sense of support that they provide each other and that they feel from ERIC. And they're doing resilience training, journaling, like doing reflection at the end of each week in each class to really become more self-aware, the kind of leaders who lead themselves first, and then become more cognizant of how they, like what happens when you face an adversity. Like, how do I react? How do I manage my emotions? How do I figure out a way around that?
Yes.
And have you done that in any other class in college?
No, this is the first class I've had any sort of training like that. And actually, I was talking to my mom, casually about the class, and she owns a spa and salon, and she's telling me, I have all these people under me who don't even have these skills. So, she's having to teach people. So it just really showed, how learning this early on is so beneficial, and learning about acquisition in general too. Everyone has said, this stuff I didn't even know, we'll be so much more prepared. And that's obviously the point of DCTC. We get our security clearances earlier, we start the process much earlier, and that way there's less headache when we enter the field.
And think about it, when you go to an your first job there and you're working with your team, we do simulations with teams, and they learn about each other. How do they react to certain, because they feel like it's real.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they may react poorly based on how other people are reacting, and they say, okay, when we do this for real, we just got to know that our engineer needs, we need to talk to him like this, and not, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, exactly.
It's just you learn how people interact, and so when they do it for real, those the triggers don't happen.
No.
Exactly.
No.
It's awesome.
Yeah. There's no space for that in the kinds of missions that we have in DoD.
No.
So it's really fantastic. And I think, again, there's so much to learn in the acquisition space, but fundamentally, they're learning to be critical thinkers. They're learning in our classrooms to listen to each other, some engineering majors, some finance majors, Bell's classmates, and recognizing that there's more than one way to solve a problem. And so it's literally outside of the box thinking, right? Because, just seeing the application of technology, the way it might work in the finance field, and then turn around and realize, oh, there's an application for that in biochemistry that I would never have seen or appreciated. And then also understanding, and this is from my background because I'm a lawyer by training, I want the students to understand there are laws and there are regulations and then there are processes. And if something is a process that is, we've always done it this way in this organization, you are encouraged to ask why.
That's actually some stress there for a second, because people, that's what they think. They think we've always done it this way.
Right.
Well, maybe we need to put some fresh blood.
You can get locked into a pattern of thinking with that, and realizing sometimes that I have flexibility, or the team has flexibility. Let's use that flexibility. We're not locked in, and just understanding that is really important. But I think it's wonderful that you were here at the conference, that the students were here at the conference. I think that's fantastic, and what a great opportunity to start.
So before we let you go, I want you to just quickly talk about this multifunctional mindset that you're going to be talking about.
Yep. So we had our opportunity on the main stage this morning. Again, Michelle was so welcoming, and Mr. Tenaglia introduced General Kelly, Mr. Frank Kelly from DAU, who did just a masterful job with the panel of the students. He's dubbed them the Magnificent Seven, so that will stick. And he had a conversation with them about what they have learned in the classroom through this diversity of thought. Like I mentioned, having students from different disciplines, it's not common on campus. Once you're a junior, you're kind of locked in your major. And even at places like Virginia Tech, one of our schools, you're kind of in the Corps of Cadets or you're not, right? And so the students more eloquently than I explained how welcoming this sense of community is, and what an interesting new sense of community across disciplines. And then to have come here and have all that reinforced by the NASA presentation, the COVID response presentation, I think it's been a wonderful opportunity for the students to share and then
their success on these teams is because of multifunctional mindset.
For sure.
They've got to work together or it's going to fall apart.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's you guys are getting some great training. I'm telling you.
Yeah, none of us, most of the cohorts, or at least everyone we've talked to, nobody knew each other until they joined this cohort, because Purdue's a huge school. The other schools are also large. So I've never met these people, and now these are people I will forever know and make connections with, and they're all from different backgrounds. I'm the only games, and we have a lot of engineers, but they're all different engineers, so it's a wide variety of people, and we're always encouraged to work together, never to follow, tradition, work outside of that, see what's something new that we can develop as we enter the workforce. So
awesome. That's pretty exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Again, thanks for stopping by.
My pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, great opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll have to do some more podcasts.
I hope so.
Yes.
It's nice. It warms our heart that we know that the future of acquisition and people working it.
Right.
we're seeing it, and that
Yeah.
makes us feel good as we start to gently leave. It's nice to
Yes.
see that the future is coming up.
I think it's really important
It's
to go to some of these universities, if not all of them. So,
Yeah, we'd love to have
Yes.
you.
That would be cool.
Yes.
That would be cool.
all right, well, thank you
Purdue's
very much.
close.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you. Thanks for
Thank you both for
talking to
stopping
us.
by. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So for our viewers out there, thank you for doing this. Please smash the like button, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or DAU Media, and we will see you next time.